The Young and the Restless spoilers for Wednesday, March 12, reveal that Summer Newman will get some alarming news while Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman make a wrong move. For starters, it looks like Chance Chancellor will give Summer updates on the information he already gave Daniel Romalotti Jr. Summer should hear about the white van with no windows, which was spotted in the area where Phyllis was last seen, and then in the area where Sharon was last seen as well. There will be no doubt in Summer's mind that something's seriously wrong here, so she'll let Chance console her on Wednesday's I and R episode. Summer would rather use Kyle as a shoulder to cry on, but she'll accept Chance's support for now. At the abandoned psychiatric facility, Phyllis and Sharon will realize it's time to take charge of their own destiny. Sharon and Phyllis will fear that the kidnapper could eliminate them, even if they pass all his tests and prove that his experiment is a success. The captor insists this isn't personal, so he's only in this for the satisfaction of being right when it comes to his twisted game. This person doesn't really seem invested in getting Phyllis and Sharon back to their loved ones, so that's certainly a reason to worry. By and our spoilers say Sharon and Phyllis will try to take charge of the situation, somehow on Wednesday's episode, but that'll be the wrong decision. Phyllis and Sharon are on the verge of falling into a terrible trap, so they'll be in panic mode before the week's over. Over with Tracy Abbott, she'll reveal something surprising to Jack Abbott. This may have something to do with just how hard Tracy has fallen for Alan Laurent. Tracy might admit she could see herself spending the rest of her life with Alan, and once they're having dinner with Jack and Diane Jenkins, Abbott Alan will hint at a marriage proposal. After Alan suggests he'd ask Tracy to marry him if he thought she'd say yes, she may confess that she's ready. Whatever the case, the timing of Tracy's romantic bliss is suspicious, especially now that Sharon and Phyllis' captor is talking about his experiment. There are some signs to suggest that Alan may actually be his sociopathic twin, Martin Laurent, and that he could be up to his Fox therapy tricks again. Is Martin the twin who survived the balcony tumble? Has Martin been posing as Alan and running this captivity game on the side? Our predictions hint that Tracy may not get the happy ending she's expecting, so stay tuned for all the drama that's about to heat up. The Young and the Restless spoilers say there's much more kidnapping chaos ahead for Sharon and Phyllis. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel Pulse Canvas. It's me, Julie here. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Keep watching, so let's dive into today's video. The upcoming 2 weeks on The Young and the Restless promise intense drama, unexpected alliances, and life-threatening situations. From March 10th through March 21st, fans can expect a roller coaster of emotions as characters navigate deception, danger, and strained relationships. Nick and Billy's desperate search for Phyllis and Sharon. Nick Newman and Billy Abbott find themselves in a frantic race against time to locate Phyllis and Sharon, who remain captive under dire circumstances. As they exhaust all possible leads, frustration mounts, and their alliance becomes more desperate. However, a breakthrough occurs when Chance Chancellor uncovers a crucial lead, reigniting their hope for a successful rescue. Phyllis faces a life-threatening ordeal. While in captivity, Phyllis Summers experiences severe abdominal pain, sparking fears that she has been poisoned. As Sharon frantically seeks a way to save her, their captor provides cryptic clues leading to an antidote. This close brush with death intensifies the stakes and forces the two women to rethink their long-standing feud. Audra's intriguing connections and hidden motives. Audra Charles continues to conceal secrets from Nate Hastings regarding her history with Holden and their ties to Tucker McCall. While Nate allows Audra to leverage Holden for information on Damien, underlying tensions suggest that her past actions may jeopardize their relationship. As Holden expands his social circle, his interaction with Claire Newman raises questions about potential ulterior motives. Summer's manipulations and Kyle's dilemma. Summer Newman intensifies her scheming against Kyle Abbott's relationship with Claire. By deliberately delaying Kyle, she creates an opportunity for Holden to engage Claire in conversation, fueling potential friction. Claire, however, grows increasingly aware of Summer's tactics, setting the stage for a direct confrontation. Victor's power struggles and family conflicts. Victor Newman remains deeply concerned about his children's decisions, particularly Adam's involvement with the Abbotts. Despite aligning with Victor's objectives against Billy Abbott and Jabot, Adam's lingering friendship with Jack Abbott continues to provoke his father's ire. Meanwhile, Victor's frustration with his family's resistance to his authority suggests he may resort to drastic measures to regain control. Romantic developments and unexpected engagements. Tracy Abbott receives surprising news from Alan, who appears ready to take their relationship to the next level. As he expresses his desire to marry her, Tracy is left stunned by the proposal. Meanwhile, speculation arises over whether they will opt for a private elopement or a grand Abbott wedding, especially with Ashley Abbott's imminent return. With mounting tension, unexpected alliances, and personal rivalries reaching their boiling points, the next 2 weeks of The Young and the Restless promise compelling drama. Will Nick and Billy successfully locate Phyllis and Sharon? Can Phyllis and Sharon put their differences aside for survival? And how will Victor's control over his family play out? Stay tuned to uncover these answers and more. The Young and the Restless scoop for Tuesday, March 11 reveals Phyllis Summers will thank Sharon Newman. Also coming up, Summer Newman will purposely interrupt Kyle Abbott's date. Plus, Claire Newman will flirt with Holden Novak. And Chance Chancellor will give Nick Newman and Daniel Romalotti a troubling update. Y and R spoilers tease Kyle will pour out champagne for he and Claire. Then she'll look by the entrance and make a face. Summer will be standing there and she'll approach the couple. Kyle, I know this probably isn't the best time, she'll say. But we really need to talk. She'll tell him it's about Harrison Locke. Can we just step away for a few minutes and talk? So Claire will offer to step away for a moment. Summer will say she's worried that Harrison will hear something about her mother being missing. I and R Daily Scoop. Kyle spots Claire clinking glasses with Holden. Kyle will say he'll think about some things he can say to him, but Summer will insist that they need to talk to him. Tonight. Kyle will say he doesn't see the urgency, but Summer will remind him of the nightmares Harrison had after his kidnapping. When he agrees, she'll apologize for ruining his evening. Then Claire will return and say she feels like she's the one interrupting. Do the two of you need more time? They'll explain the situation and Claire will say she'll wait at the bar for Kyle. She'll order a martini and Holden will come along. He'll hear Claire saying the martini is strong and he'll suggest she try a Vesper, it tastes better. He'll introduce himself and they'll flirt. Holden will move in closer and they'll clink glasses just as Kyle and Summer come down the stairs. Oh, Summer will say, looks like Claire's made a new friend. Kyle will walk over and interrupt them, and Summer will have a slight grin on her face as she heads back upstairs to her room. Kyle will ask Claire if she's drinking a martini, but she'll say it's a Vesper. Claire will point to Holden and say the gentleman introduced her to it. Meanwhile, Nick will meet with Victoria Newman. She'll ask if he's heard anything about Sharon and Phyllis and will offer her support when he says no. Victoria will tell him hopefully Sharon and Phyllis will reach out and everything will be okay. Daniel will arrive and say he can't stop worrying. Nick will admit it is getting harder to explain why Sharon and Phyllis went AWOL. Then Chance will show up and say new CCTV surveillance shows both Sharon and Phyllis leaving locations and a white van with no windows is seen nearby. He'll add that they ran the plates and the van was stolen. Young and the Restless scoop. Sharon tells Phyllis she needs to get up. In the dingy basement, Phyllis will writhe in pain. Sharon will tell her she needs to drink the bottle of water with the sticker on the lid. She'll ask their captor if it's the antidote, but she'll get no answer. Phyllis will continue to refuse to drink it. I can't force you to drink that, but this is your call, Sharon will say. So Phyllis will chug it back. I feel like I swallowed a whole tackle box of fish hooks and they're being pulled out of my stomach, she'll say. Sharon will suggest she get up and walk around, and Phyllis will lean on Sharon as she does. She'll lie back down and tell Sharon she thinks the pain is fading. The siren will go off. Well done, Sharon, you solved the riddle, their captor will say. Sharon will tell Phyllis it could have just as easily been her who drank the poison. If it was me, would you have saved me? She'll ask. Phyllis will tell her after everything she's done to her family, maybe she deserves to die by poison. But later, she'll grab Sharon's hand. Thank you, she'll say to her. Thank you for saving my life. Phyllis will fall asleep and their captor will tell Sharon they're one step closer to liberation. She'll ask what he means and if she knows him. This isn't personal, he'll reply. My position is objective. This is an experiment and nothing more. Sharon will ask if they'll be set free if they win the game. Or do you have something else in mind? He'll tell her to rest, because tomorrow will be a busy day for both of them. Finally, Sharon will freak out and start screaming, which will wake Phyllis. She'll ask Sharon what's wrong. I don't think we're getting out of here anytime soon, she'll reply. The Young and the Restless scoop for Tuesday, March 11 reveals Phyllis Summers will thank Sharon Newman. Y&R spoilers tease Kyle will pour out champagne for he and Claire. Then she'll look by the entrance and make a face. Summer will be standing there and she'll approach the couple. Kyle, I know this probably isn't the best time, she'll say, but we really need to talk. She'll tell him it's about Harrison Locke. Can we just step away for a few minutes and talk? So Claire will offer to step away for a moment. Summer will say she's worried that Harrison will hear something about her mother being missing. I&R Daily Scoop. Kyle spots Claire clinking glasses with Holden. Kyle will say he'll think about some things he can say to him. But Summer will insist that they need to talk to him. Tonight. Kyle will say he doesn't see the urgency. But Summer will remind him of the nightmares Harrison had after his kidnapping. When he agrees, she'll apologize for ruining his evening. Then Claire will return and say she feels like she's the one interrupting. Do the two of you need more time? They'll explain the situation and Claire will say she'll wait at the bar for Kyle. She'll order a martini and Holden will come along. He'll hear Claire saying the martini is strong and he'll suggest she try a Vesper, it tastes better. He'll introduce himself and they'll flirt. Holden will move in closer and they'll clink glasses, just as Kyle and Summer come down the stairs. Oh, Summer will say, looks like Claire's made a new friend. Kyle will walk over and interrupt them. And Summer will have a slight grin on her face as she heads back upstairs to her room. Kyle will ask Claire if she's drinking a martini, but she'll say it's a Vesper. Claire will point to Holden and say the gentleman introduced her to it. Meanwhile, Nick will meet with Victoria Newman. She'll ask if he's heard anything about Sharon and Phyllis, and will offer her support when he says no. Victoria will tell him hopefully Sharon and Phyllis will reach out and everything will be okay. Daniel will arrive and say he can't stop worrying. Nick will admit it is getting harder to explain why Sharon and Phyllis went AWOL. Then Chance will show up and say new CCTV surveillance shows both Sharon and Phyllis leaving locations and a white van with no windows is seen nearby. He'll add that they ran the plates and the van was stolen. Young and the Restless scoop. Sharon tells Phyllis she needs to get up. In the dingy basement, Phyllis will writhe in pain. Sharon will tell her she needs to drink the bottle of water with the sticker on the lid. She'll ask their captor if it's the antidote, but she'll get no answer. Phyllis will continue to refuse to drink it. I can't force you to drink that, but this is your call, Sharon will say. So Phyllis will chug it back. I feel like I swallowed a whole tackle box of fish hooks and they're being pulled out of my stomach, she'll say. Sharon will suggest she get up and walk around, and Phyllis will lean on Sharon as she does. She'll lie back down and tell Sharon she thinks the pain is fading. The siren will go off. "Well done, Sharon, you solved the riddle," their captor will say. Sharon will tell Phyllis it could have just as easily been her who drank the poison. "If it was me, would you have saved me?" she'll ask. Phyllis will tell her after everything she's done to her family, maybe she deserves to die by poison. But later, she'll grab Sharon's hand. "Thank you," she'll say to her. "Thank you for saving my life." Phyllis will fall asleep, and their captor will tell Sharon they're one step closer to liberation. She'll ask what he means, and if she knows him. "This isn't personal," he'll reply. "My position is objective. This is an experiment and nothing more." Sharon will ask if they'll be set free if they win the game. "Or do you have something else in mind?" He'll tell her to rest, because tomorrow will be a busy day for both of them. Finally, Sharon will freak out and start screaming, which will wake Phyllis. She'll ask Sharon what's wrong. "I don't think we're getting out of here anytime soon," she'll reply. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, March 11, imply some interesting moments in the land of Genoa City. One character causes trouble for a super couple, while another is single and ready to mingle, and someone has a tough choice to make. Time to dive in and see what kind of drama will unfold during Tuesday's show. Summer Newman stirs the pot. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, March 11 suggest that Summer Newman will cause trouble between Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman. The two were all set to go out on a date during the Friday, March 7 episode, and even organized babysitters for Harrison Abbott as Jack Abbott and Diane Abbott offered. Still, Summer was lingering in the shadows at Crimson, while Kyle was on the phone with Claire, firming up plans. It sounds like Summer will pull some sort of stunt that may not only place an end to their date, but also cause the two to get into a disagreement. What does Summer do? Fans will have to tune in to find out. Holden Novak explores his options. Across town, it sounds like Holden Novak will explore some of his options in Genoa City. He's smitten with old friend Audra Charles, but it looks like he'll meet someone new during Tuesday's show. As Kyle will either cut his date with Claire short or cancel entirely, she'll become a new acquaintance of Holden's after the episode is through. The preview for March 10 to 14 shows Claire alone at the GZAC bar when Holden comes along to chat. Will these two experience some sparks? Should Kyle be worried? Phyllis Summers' tough decision. Lastly, Phyllis Summers will have a tough decision ahead of her. Will she trust Sharon Newman's riddle-solving skills and drink the water antidote or not? As fans know, Phyllis was poisoned during Monday's show, and Sharon believed that the antidote was in a special marked water bottle. Will Phyllis choose to trust Sharon or go her own way? The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that all signs now point to Martin Laurent as Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers, Michelle Stafford, captor. It looks like Alan Laurent's evil twin is behind this creepy experiment, so let's talk about all the clues that have piled up. Back in August 2024, the show offered up a huge hint that Alan might actually be Martin. When Alan came home with Tracy Abbott, he marveled at the Abbott mansion like it was his first time there. Although Alan ultimately claimed he just never appreciated the Abbott house before, it was definitely a weird red flag. Many fans suspected that Alan might turn out to be Martin, but the show never really followed up on the idea, at least until now. If Martin was actually the twin who lived following the balcony fall, then he's apparently been playing the part of Alan ever since. Of course, that doesn't mean the show totally committed to the twist until the storyline came along, involving Sharon and Phyllis' strange captor. It's only now that Y and R's truly moving forward with the Martin angle and setting things in motion for the big reveal. There have been hints to suggest that Phyllis and Sharon captor might be a former mental patient, especially since he's keeping them locked up in an abandoned psychiatric clinic. Even Billy Abbott suggested that another madman besides Ian Ward might be to blame for Sharon and Phyllis' ordeal, and Martin would certainly qualify as a madman. Plus, we know Martin liked to think of himself as someone who had better techniques than Alan when it came to patience. Martin pushed Ashley Abbott way too hard with his hypnosis tactics as he worked to prove he was superior to his brother. In the March 11 episode, Sharon and Phyllis' captor confessed that the game should be thought of like an experiment. The person behind all this is treating Phyllis and Sharon like lab rats because he wants the satisfaction of being right about his methods. We know that Alan previously talked about doing a psychological study and requested an interview with Sharon for his book. If that was actually Martin, he may have become even more obsessed with Sharon through her hypnosis sessions during the Ian and Jordan storyline. Maybe Martin got it stuck in his head that he could help Sharon and Phyllis overcome their longtime feud by going to extremes. Martin likely researched Phyllis and Sharon's past for this project, which Sharon suspects is an attempt to prove their kidnapper's brilliance. Now, Alan is suddenly set to make more appearances with Tracy, and it's worth noting that he seems a little off in my and ours week of March 10 preview video. It feels like the show's leaning into making Alan look a little wilder like Martin, and Christopher Cousins may have been given the green light to play Alan like his evil twin ahead of this shocking revelation. Sadly, Tracy's world may come crashing down once the truth about Alan is revealed. It looks like Tracy may go from thinking she's going to marry Alan to finding out she's actually been duped by his sociopathic twin. The Young and the Restless spoilers say plenty of stunning Martin news seems to be coming up, so we'll bring you more predictions on the captor reveal and updates on the intense aftermath. The Young and the Restless spoilers document that Damien Kane is very private. He also has a fierce temper, as his friend and now employee, Holden Novak, told Audra Charles. Damien couldn't believe what he saw. Holden was chatting up Audra. Rivers was angered that Owen's character was becoming involved with an ex-girlfriend. Audra told her current boyfriend, Nate Hastings, that Holden was an acquaintance. Nate initially accepted that answer but was leery. Dining at the Geno City Athletic Club, Nate's lunch with his brother couldn't have gone better. Nate hoped this would come true as Damien opened up to his mother, Amy Lewis. Damien was pleased to hear that the breakthrough he and Amy had influenced her decision to accept Nate's help. He connected Amy with an oncologist, and that meeting went well. The subsequent trip Amy took with the doctor to Chicago, Illinois, will hopefully lead to real progress. Amy now wants as much extra time as she can have with her son. Their reconciliation could help heal her and provide Damien with needed solace. Holden Novak isn't over Audra Charles. The subject header isn't news. But what's intriguing is that Audra might not be over him. Why else agree to another lunch when he returns from Los Angeles, California? It's fair to believe that Audra thinks she can manage Holden. Yet that seems hard to imagine because he's clearly never gotten her out of his system. Nate's recognition of the lingering chemistry between Audra and Holden spells trouble on multiple fronts. Damien is working to try and stop this problem from growing by sending his employee back to Lay. Meanwhile, viewers likely feel they haven't seen the last of Holden. A triangle exists or could form between Nate, Audra, and Holden, but that could lead to the end of Holden's employment with Damien. However, Holden's inability to restrain himself when Audra is concerned implies that he will choose a chance to be with her again versus maintaining his job with Damien. If so, viewers can speculate about the potential employment opportunities Holden might have among those who want to use him as an information source. Amy Lewis is a good soul. Amy made a mistake by becoming involved with Nathan Hastings. She could never bring herself to tell her late husband or Damien the truth. So Damien grew up believing that the man who was his mother's husband was naturally his father. He also mistakenly concluded that she shut down when his father was dying. Pettiford is a solid actor. The character she portrays adds richness to this part of the storyline. Here's hoping that Nate's medical referral proves fruitful, because there's plenty of plot space for Amy to play in Genoa City, Wisconsin. The Young and the Restless spoilers reveal that insecure Sally Spectra may have 5 words for Billy Abbott to mull over once Phyllis Summers' rescue changes everything. Will Billy and Phyllis' connection leave Sally with major doubts about their own romance? Sally was already annoyed over Phyllis calling Billy non-stop during their Paris trip. Although Sally is sympathetic over the trouble that Phyllis has landed in now, she can also see the worry written all over Billy's face. Billy is gearing up for a rescue mission with Nick Newman, so they'll likely be the ones to save Phyllis and Sharon Newman from the captivity nightmare they've been stuck in. In the aftermath, my and our spoilers suggest Phyllis may latch onto Billy even more than before. We wouldn't be surprised if Phyllis planted a kiss on Billy in a moment of relief and gratitude. Regardless, Phyllis and Billy's relationship may start to deepen, which could certainly leave Sally with growing concerns. Once Billy presumably becomes Phyllis' hero, that's going to bond them in a unique way. As Sally deals with insecurities and watches Phyllis pull Billy closer, it could push her to her breaking point. Sally may finally decide to ask Billy something that could determine whether they still have a future together. That brings us to those 5 words we mentioned, since Sally might urge Billy to answer this simple question: do you want Phyllis back? Billy might try to deny it, but Sally could still find herself wondering whether Billy would rather be back with Phyllis instead. We might see Sally's jealous side come out a bit, but this could mostly be about protecting her heart from another round of pain. Sally went through enough devastation when Adam Newman cheated with Chelsea Lawson, so the last thing she wants is to sign up for more of the same. That's why Sally might demand Billy's honesty as she struggles with mounting worries about his ex. Billy and Phyllis' lingering connection could be a real problem for Sally, so stay tuned for updates on more love triangle news. The Young and the Restless spoilers say Billy's role in Phyllis' rescue could be a game changer, so stick with us for more on how it'll affect Sally. The Young and the Restless spoilers for Tuesday, March 11. Tease fans can look forward to an action-packed epi as we catch up with hostages Phyllis Summers and Sharon Newman. Plus, see how Summer Newman's gamble pays off. Here's what to know to be in the know about your favorite characters and our fans. Phyllis and Sharon locked up still. Back at the insane asylum, the captor continues to goad Phyllis and Sharon to trust each other and work together to get out of their situation. Phyllis is not well, and there are clues that lead Sharon to believe that a certain bottle of water contains the antidote for whatever it is making Phyllis sick. Then again, why should they trust someone who has possibly poisoned one of them? Phyllis is afraid of the water, but in the end drinks it upon Sharon's urging. Phyllis and Sharon must work together. Will Phyllis begin to feel better? Definitely maybe. If this goes the way the captor wants it to, Phyllis begins to see Sharon in a new light. What's next with these two? Explosive show spoilers tease that the ladies continue to confab about what they are doing there and how to get out alive. Elsewhere, Summer plots to ruin Kyle Abbott and Claire Newman's date night. Claire and Kyle targeted. Claire and Kyle were about to enjoy a nice night out, but Summer is determined to thwart their plans. Claire wasn't born yesterday, however, and has pulled some ugly schemes in her time. Chances are she sees exactly what meddling Summer is up to, but what can she do about it? Claire can't do much as Summer successfully interferes with Claire's date, causing friction for the couple. Holden makes a move. Meanwhile, Holden Novak uses Claire's misery to his advantage. He spies her drinking alone at GCAC and horns his way in. Nicely, of course. Holden turns on the charm and starts a convo with Claire. She is surprised but doesn't tell him to take a hike. The show may be beginning the first of many chem tests for Holden. We know he has secrets and a simmering tension with his shady boss Damien Kane. Tell us why, and our fans, who do you think would make a good partner for Holden? What's really going on with Holden and me? I don't know what you mean, Audra claims as Nate looks down at her in the dining room of the athletic club. Sitting down, he explains he caught the look between them and sensed there was something they wanted to keep private. She explains that's all Holden. He is desperate for a friend and wants it to be her. She's only humoring him to get information on Damien. Nate says he trusts her but adds that if there was anything more going on with Holden, she could tell him. He knows how hard it can be to be open about an old flame to a new man. When she offers to fill him in on what she's learned, he suggests they do it at his place. Amy will be in Chicago for a while, and Audra thinks he should hear what she's learned before she tells Amy. Audra and Nate debate how to handle Damien. When Audra and Nate arrive at the penthouse, she notices that Amy forgot her scarf and worries that it will be chilly in Chicago. He explains Amy was a bit flustered to be rushed off to Chicago for tests, but there's no time to waste. They just hope his doctor friend can help. Once he pours them drinks, they take a seat, and she fills him in on the changing dynamic between Damien and Holden. At first, they were friends, and then Damien became his boss, leaving Holden answering to him and not feeling equal. It sounds like Holden resents Damien for treating him like an employee first and a friend second. It appeared to Audra that Damien came down on Holden earlier. She adds that he told her his boss has a bad temper. Nate wonders if Holden clued into her looking for information. A spotlight on his brother is the last thing he wants right now. Lily has been digging too, and he's afraid that Damien will be scared off if he discovers people are rummaging around in his life. Audra asks what Lily discovered, and Nate explains that his half-brother lied about owning 2 companies and is only a CEO. She is sure that keeping up so many lies must be taking a toll on him. She adds that Nate may be too emotionally involved to be objective about this. Nate will admit that he's not entirely ready to trust his brother, but he wants to. Audra suggests he's too optimistic, but points to how much good this is doing for Amy. She's sure he'd also like a brother. While Nate should follow his instincts, he should also be cautious. He's sure he's seen glimpses of a good man behind Damien's facade. Audra advises caution about letting Damien into their lives until they know more. Nate insists that what matters is how much more positive Amy has become. He's determined to make her reconciliation with her son happen. Audra worries that Damien could hurt Amy or Nate. Hastings is confident that the reunion will change Damien for the better. Maybe they will all get burned, but he wants to hold on to the hope that they can be a real family. She repeats that she doesn't want them hurt. Nate needs to believe the best. He's not sure he or Amy could handle another bombshell. Billy and Nick speculate about Phyllis and Sharon. Nick stops by Billy's new place to ask for a list of contacts Phyllis might have linked up with. Billy already thought of that and made the calls. They didn't pan out. They agree that something is wrong here. Handing Nick a beer, Billy urges him to take a minute and think. As they sit, Billy admits it took him a while to admit to himself that Phyllis could be in real trouble. Nick says it's normal to think she's gone AWOL given her history. They speculate on whether the 2 women were kidnapped. Billy asks how sure Nick is that Ian Ward is dead. Nick admits that's the first name that popped into his head when he considered a kidnapping, but he saw him get shot and knows he was cremated. Given that Phyllis and Sharon both called from burner phones, Billy assumes they must be together. Since Heather's death, the animosity between them is at its peak, so it can't be voluntary. Nick knows Sharon has issues but insists she is in a good place. He believes neither woman is out for revenge at the moment. Chance has been calling clinics, but the waiting is becoming too much for Nick. After all his family has been through lately, this is only taking it to another level. He gulps beer before admitting that he blames himself for this, even if that makes no sense. Whenever Nick thinks his family is ready to heal, something else hits them. It leaves him wondering what he's missing. Seeing how torn up the kids are makes it hard for him to imagine reaching the other side of this. He has people in his corner, but still feels the weight. Billy urges him to cut himself some slack. Nick knows Phyllis gives him a hard time for riding to Sharon's rescue, but he suspects she wants the same thing. Offering him his help, Billy muses on the irony of them coming together like this given their history. More, tribute to Bill Bell. As Nick gets up to leave, he insists to Billy that this was not a bonding moment between them. He gets a call from the ranch security team, who explain they checked all the CCTV footage but came up empty. He's going to call the family to see if they've heard anything and heads out. Damn it, where are you? Billy wonders. More, who is leaving 911? Phyllis and Sharon fight and grapple with clues. In the basement of the medical clinic, Sharon fusses over a series of cue cards. Exercising, Phyllis mocks her, joking she must be writing a bucket list. She tries to guess what would be on it. Likely something having to do with her kids. Maybe one last goodbye or snuggle. That's certainly what would be on Phyllis' list. Sharon snipes that makes sense since she didn't get that moment with them after she faked her death. Phyllis throws Sharon's history in her face too and suggests that she would do something self-sacrificing like give away her money so everyone could admire her generosity. I'd go out with a bang, Phyllis says, sure that Sharon would too. She's also sure that Sharon would want to be saved by her knight in shining armor once again. Sharon does not doubt that Phyllis would be happy to have Nick burst in there as well. As Phyllis practices her lunges, she continues to taunt Sharon for wasting her time trying to solve the riddle. She complains that what she's doing isn't helping. Participating in the game isn't getting them anywhere. Maybe the goal isn't for them to survive, but only to entertain their captor. They bicker, and then Sharon complains about how hard it is to solve the latest riddle. This makes Phyllis laugh. She brags that she figured it out by her 5th jumping jack and refuses to tell Sharon the answer. For all she knows, the game they are playing could be winner take all, so why should she share what she knows? She wouldn't hesitate to leave Sharon behind. Besides, she thinks the answer is a completely ridiculous concept. More, the death of Pamela Back Hasselhoff. Getting up, Sharon urges her to grow up and stop playing the mean girl because their lives are on the line. After Sharon nags her some more, Phyllis finally caves. Forgiveness. That's the answer, she says. Sharon doesn't see how that's ridiculous. Phyllis says it will never happen after all Sharon did to her family and Heather's body. When Sharon brings up the things she'd have to forgive Phyllis for, the redhead dismisses that as ancient history. Once she declares this boring, Sharon continues trying to figure things out. When she suggests they try forgiveness for a chance to get out of there, Phyllis claims she would rather die and be eaten by rats. More, My and Our column talks cold story. Sharon continues looking for clues among her cue cards, and Phyllis gulps down another bottle of water. What is the motivation? Sharon speculates. All of this seems to be the work of someone trying to prove how brilliant they are. If they could only figure out what the goal is, Phyllis is sure the goal is just to torture them. She yells at the intercom that they are tortured. They bicker about Phyllis spending all her time doing exercises and rehashing what Sharon did to Daniel. When Sharon reminds her she was drugged, Phyllis accuses her of taking no responsibility and declares she will never forgive. What if it's the only way out of here? Sharon asks. Phyllis knows she could lie, but the freak would figure it out. She starts to shiver as she rambles and then doubles over, blurting out that she's nauseous. As Phyllis panics that she is being poisoned, Sharon calls to the intercom, pleading for help. When she yells that Phyllis needs medical attention, the intercom rings. The voice comes on, saying that they better start searching for the antidote and taunting that they may be making good on their threat, since Phyllis isn't progressing through the game as she was commanded. As Phyllis shudders and groans in pain, Sharon begs for another clue. The voice returns to say, I am the beginning and the end, though you can't see me. Sharon was hoping for something more direct, but no luck. She continues searching as Phyllis whimpers. Eventually, Sharon decides it must be the water and finds one bottle that has a sticker on it. It made Phyllis sick in the beginning, will end the pain, and you can't see it because it's clear. She prompts Phyllis to drink it. Nate and Audra decide to use Holden. Back at the penthouse, Audra urges Nate to let her continue playing Holden to get information on Damien. He's reluctant, so she teases that he may be jealous, which would prove their relationship is important to him. Nate hopes he doesn't need to act jealous for her to know that. They kiss. This arouses her appetite, and she suggests they get pizza. When she grabs her phone, she sees a text from Holden that reads, "At the airport. Sorry about bailing on lunch. Still need a friend." Audra shows it to Nate and asks how he wants her to respond. Taking her phone, he texts, "You've got one." Young and the restless spoilers indicate that the kidnapping will turn deadly as the captor is finally revealed. Sharon Newman and Phyllis Summers will be stunned when they finally learn who's been holding them hostage, but who's it going to be? We know Ian Ward seemingly survived based on him opening his eyes and gasping in the ambulance. Ian was supposedly cremated according to the morgue, but he may have charmed someone into helping him keep up the ruse of his faked demise. However, if Ian was hanging around for revenge, wouldn't he be busy targeting Victor Newman for trying to kill him? Ian was recovering from a nearly fatal injury anyway, so it just doesn't seem like he's the culprit. That brings us to a clue Billy Abbott will offer in the March 10 episode. After ruling Ian out as an option, Billy considers the possibility that another madman out there is responsible. If Billy's right, then Phyllis and Sharon's captor is perhaps a male character who's off his rocker. That makes sense considering Sharon and Phyllis are being held in an abandoned psychiatric facility called Havenhurst. In the beginning, Sharon considered the possibility that their captor was a former doctor or patient there. Let's focus on the patient angle and assume the person doing all this is mentally disturbed. Back when Alan Laurent first met Sharon, he mentioned that he was doing a psychological study and would like to interview her. Alan was writing a book, so let's keep that in mind for a moment. Under the circumstances, it may be time to revisit the theory that Alan isn't really Alan. What if Martin Laurent is the twin who survived the balcony fall in France and has been masquerading as Alan all these months? We can't forget about the time Alan walked in the Abbott mansion with Tracy Abbott and acted like he'd never been there before. It might have been because Martin had never been there, unlike his brother. Martin previously worked for Alan and transcribed notes from his sessions, which led to him thinking he could do Alan's job better than him. When Martin eventually posed as Alan and interacted with Ashley Abbott, he went to extremes with his hypnosis tactics. Now let's think about Sharon and Phyllis' strange captivity situation. Doesn't it feel like a twisted, extreme form of therapy? Like maybe the person responsible thinks they're helping while they're actually creating a total nightmare. In the March 10 episode, Sharon will consider the possibility that someone wants them to see their brilliance through the mystery and performance of it all. That's yet another clue that would fit for Martin. Since it's been established that Alan was doing research for a book and that he wanted to talk to Sharon, perhaps Martin researched all this info on her history with Phyllis. That fits because it would honestly take some serious research to know what song was playing at the event Phyllis and Sharon fought at. No one would just remember that off the top of their head, meaning the person behind all this doesn't necessarily have to be someone who knows Sharon and Phyllis all that well. They just have to be someone willing to put in the research. Let's recap all these clues so we can look at the big picture here. The kidnapper is potentially a former psychiatric patient who's forced Phyllis and Sharon into a game that feels more like a deranged therapy session. We could certainly buy that Martin is the one running the show here, and that he hopes to prove his extreme methods can pay off. As luck would have it, Alan is back on screen during the week of March 10 to 14 and is essentially proposing to Tracy Abbott in the preview video. Is Y and R setting poor Tracy up for a huge fall? Is the show about to reveal that Martin has been duping her all this time and that he's the person behind the kidnapping chaos? The young and the restless spoilers say Sharon and Phyllis will end up in a frantic fight to survive as the game goes off the rails. So stick with us for more captor predictions and updates on all the shocking news ahead.